started that already?
Thank you, Angel.
Awesome. And then after the presentation, this recording, I said will be shared or posted. We're going to share it through a Dropbox format, and Patsy will follow up with you guys after the presentation, or I will within the next day, so that you can receive that copy of that recording if you want to go back and watch it. So just to tell you a little bit about Audubon and who we are a national advocacy organization for birds and the places that birds need. So we are a network unlike any other in our nation for birds and the places they need. We are based all about science-based advocacy, conservation, and education. And through all channels, we serve about 4 million people every year. We have over 900,000 members at over 500 affiliated chapters around the United States. Right here in Texas, we're lucky enough to have Audubon Texas as our parent office up in Austin. They focus on conservation and advocacy for birds in the state. As well, we have 3 education centers focused in North Texas, or 2 in North Texas, and then I'm based out of San Antonio at Mitchell Lake Audubon Center. Around the state, we are lucky enough to have 20 state chapters that are nationally affiliated Audubon chapters. And right here in San Antonio, we have Bear Audubon Society that we love to partner with. So we're glad to be working with you on this presentation tonight. Mitchell Lake Audubon Center is finally open. Yay, we can all cheer for that. We are open now to the public Fridays and Saturdays, 7 a.m. to 12 noon. We are using a timed ticketing system, just like most of the state parks are doing these days. So you can visit that link that's in the bullet points there. I'll also drop that link in the chat after I'm through with this portion of the presentation so that you can click on that and go right to that site. But you'll go to that event site to choose the date that you would like to come out, and you'll reserve your ticket that way. If you are a member, you should have received a membership code in order to discount your ticket into the site. If for some reason you have not gotten the code and you are an active member, please just email me. Later on, I'll have our mlac@audubon.org email that you can go to, and that's our inbox that you can send an email to, and we can follow up with you and figure out why you did not receive the email if you did not receive it. So just know that I'll be giving that in the chat as well in just a few minutes. So I've just listed what we're known for at Mitchell Lake Audubon Center, which is lots of bird species seen on site, driving and walking trails, over 600 acres of mixed habitat, and a variety of programming. And we'll hope you come see us soon. And these are our virtual programs for October. If you haven't signed up for them, we hope you will if you'd like to. We have Birding for Beginners next week. That's a repeat of the presentation that we did last month. So if you did that one already, you don't have to repeat it again. But lots of people wanted another chance at that class, so I'll be offering that on Tuesday. And then it's hard to read a little bit, but 10 Ways to Be Bird Friendly on Wednesday, October 28th. Is coming up at the end of the month, and there you will hear some tips and tricks for making your own yard, house, and community safer for birds. And then this was the link I told you about, mlac@audubon.org, if you need to get in touch with us, and also I've listed Bear Audubon's email address there. And thank you to these folks for loaning us their photos for the presentation. And I will stop my share, Patsy. You don't see my screen anymore, do you? No.
Nope.
Okay, good.
Hope you see mine now.
All right, I'm going to turn my camera off.
Okie dokie. All right, just a couple of announcements for upcoming things for Bear Audubon. We normally have our monthly meeting on the 4th Wednesday of every month. But this month in October, we're going to have it on the 21st, which is the 3rd Wednesday, because on the 4th Wednesday, we have a special celebration of Texas women in conservation that many of us want to attend. Now, on the 21st, it's the same day, time as we started tonight, 6:30, and we're going to have an Audubon, Texas employee who used to be educator at Mitchell Lake and is still a wonderful educator and a fabulous birder. Her name is Yvette Stewart. She's now down in the Brownsville area, still working for Audubon. And she's going to talk about building bird-friendly cities and conservation leaders for the future. Two big programs. Right now, Bear Audubon Society has a very active committee that's trying to help the city of San Antonio become a bird-friendly certified city. They're working very hard on the application and they should have it done. The mayor's behind us, the city council's going to pass a resolution. So everything is looking great, and Yvette has really helped us a lot. So come and hear about the kinds of things that she does on the 21st. Then we have every year, for many years, the two Audubon clubs, Bear Audubon, which is the affiliated chapter, and San Antonio Audubon, which is a birding club older than we are. They've been around since the 50s. We didn't come about until the 1980s. So we get together. We're all good friends, and many of us are members of both clubs, and we have a fall event. Well, usually it's a dinner, and we've been having it for the last few years at the San Antonio Zoo, and they have just been wonderful hosts. Well, this year we can't have the dinner because of that crazy thing that we're having to contend with right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a talk by one of their conservation people. Dr. Andy Glusenkamp used to be Texas Parks and Wildlife's state herpetologist, I think is what he was called, but he's now the conservation director of the San Antonio Zoo, and he loves to work with the Texas icon, the Texas horned lizard. And they're raising baby lizards at the zoo, and of course they need support. So instead of buying dinners this year, we're asking everyone to pay a $5 registration fee to hear Dr. Glusenkamp's talk. And all of that money will be donated to the San Antonio Zoo for conservation. Now, they came up with another great idea that I'd like to share with you if you'd like to give a little bit more to the zoo and support. And of course, San Antonio Audubon is part of this too. They have all these baby lizards they're going to release back into the wild. And of course, you can't let a lizard go without a name, right? So if you would like to name a lizard and help to save the lizards, you can name a baby lizard for a donation of $25 at the link that is at the bottom of your screen, which I will ask Angel to please put that in the chat, or we'll have it on the recording when you get the recording. So every time you give a donation of $25, your name goes into a drawing, and the person whose name is drawn out on the November 5th annual event will get to bring 3 more people for a behind-the-scenes private tour of the Lizard Conservation Center. And you can see all the lizard mamas and daddies that had all these babies that we're going to release. So it's going to be a great time, and that's a baby lizard sitting on a U.S. border. So those of you who are in our audience tonight who aren't a member of Bear Audubon, we love birds. We love to have you with us. Even though we're called Bear Audubon, we have 9 counties in our region, and they're all listed there. But we don't care whether you live in one of those 9 counties or not. If you would like to come and support us and to help us and to help birds, that's what we would like to have. So you can go on our website, bearaudubon.org, and there's all the information you need for that. Now, we get to the main event, what you really came for tonight, and thank you for waiting so patiently. We have the title of it is Saving Birds One Building at a Time. And this goes back to the September of 19, boy, am I really behind, September of 2019, when we visited a friend who lives in Annapolis, Maryland. And she says, hey, they're going to be judging the duck stamp artwork for the next year's duck stamp, which we know this year the winner was the black-bellied whistling duck, when some of you have bought duck stamps. So she said, would you like to go to Patuxent National Wildlife Refuge? And we said, sure. So we went out there, we had a great time, we watched the judging, it was fascinating. And when we came out, we found out that another event was happening, that they were going to have a dedication of, I won't ruin it, I won't be a spoiler, because you'll get to see what it was in the talk, but of a way to prevent birds from hitting their windows. And we were able to meet the founder of Lights Out Baltimore, who is named Lindsay Jacks, and also the person you're going to hear tonight, Lynne Parks, who is the volunteer coordinator for that organization. Outreach coordinator. What did I say? Oh, I said, Tom corrects me. He's good. He's sitting over here telling me the right words. The outreach coordinator for Lights Out Baltimore. Now, Lights Out Baltimore is a special committee as part of the Baltimore Bird Club. And this organization in 10 years has collected over 4,000 birds, rescued 1,300 birds, rescued 70 bats, and installed bird-safe products to commercial buildings. And with volunteers from that club daily monitor migration to rescue injured birds and bats that have fallen victim to light pollution and building collisions. They also work with the city and local organizations to reduce light pollution and advocate for sustainable building design. Well, our speaker tonight has done all of that. She monitors bird glass collisions downtown. She gives collision talks and workshops. She designs and treats windows to make them bird safe because she's an artist and a curator, and she uses art to advocate for birds. She leads bird walks. She does it all. She's a recipient of the 2013 Mary Sawyers Baker Prize from the Baltimore Museum of Art, which is a big deal. From the Maryland State Arts Council, she got the Individual Artist Award in Visual Arts Photography in 2018. And her work highlighted the loss of birds from building collisions. So we're going to find out, unfortunately, every 9 seconds, a bird strikes a building and dies. And tonight we're going to learn how migratory birds and bats are affected by light pollution and glass collisions. We're going to learn how to create a collision monitoring program, which we are in the process of doing if we can ever get out again, and how you can help protect birds and bats and your own home. So I'm going to stop my share at this point and ask Lynne to unmute herself and turn on her camera. This is Lynne.
Hello.
Thank you. And go ahead and share your screen.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, hang on. Oh, what's it doing?
Go to share screen.
Yeah, it's not giving me the option just yet.
Okay.
Let me go back. It's just, yeah.
Lynne, you may have to hover over the bottom part of your Zoom screen for the
Okay.
share screen option to pop up.
And hovering.
Just take your cursor and let it rest over the bottom of your Zoom screen.
Okay, hang on.
You see it? We had it a minute ago.
Did, but now I'm not getting anything.
Okay.
Okay, hang on.
I'm hanging.
Share screen. Here we go. Share.
There we go.
Now presentation.
We're good. Somebody in the audience said this was their first Zoom. This is Lynne's first presentation by Zoom, and she's a quick learner.
Thank you for your patience.
Now, if you will put that on full screen.
There we go.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to go and let you do your thing. Thanks, Lynne.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. So I started out my bird life as an avid birder. I've been birding for 20 years, but about 10 years ago, you know, it became apparent that how many birds that we're losing. I mean, I could tell myself just in my local population counts how many, you know, declines in bird populations, and I knew that, wow, if we wanted to continue to have birds, I needed to do my part. And what was easiest for me in terms of where I live within the city was to tackle the bird collisions issue. So I joined Lights Out Baltimore pretty much from the beginning. It's been a little over 10 years now. And I'll go ahead and just, Yeah, let's go ahead and just dive in. So, I mean, why do birds hit glass? And to understand that, we have to understand migration. And we know that most land birds, these songbirds and shorebirds, migrate at night. And we know the reason that they do that is to avoid predators in the heat of the day. You know, they'll have a smoother ride at night. And it's interesting to understand how they navigate. I mean, just like humans have forever, they use landmarks, mountain ranges, coastlines, rivers, bodies of water. But importantly to what we're going to be talking about, constellations. So if they're navigating by constellation, what becomes problematic, of course, is all of the light pollution that we're creating. There's something about bright white light that also has this attracting quality for birds. We don't fully understand. We think it has something to do with the way that they sort of process polarized light. And I know, and I'm just going to say right off the bat, this is Lindsay's PowerPoint, and we organize things differently. So I'm going to do my best to follow her logic. And so I'm going to get back to that third point you see about why collisions happen in the early morning. Okay, so this is just a graphic showing you how much more light pollution there is just in the last 70 years. Yeah, it's pretty horrifying. Now, to talk about that attracting quality of light, have you all, I wonder if you've seen the 9/11 tribute in light that happens in New York City. They have 40 bright halogen light columns, bright white lights, and you see all the dots in that graphic. Those are birds. There are tens of thousands of birds that get trapped in that light. And kind of to get back to that earlier point, a bird is migrating. The light attracts it in. It flies around in the light. It's trapped. It gets exhausted, and it sinks down. And it sinks down pretty safely. And the reason that like early morning, and I'm just going to go back. The reason early morning collisions is like the danger time is that that's when they wake up, they're hungry, they're looking for a food source, they see a tree, they fly right toward it, but instead of being a tree, it's a reflection of a tree. And we'll go into that into detail. But to talk about this attracting quality, yeah, this is pretty horrific. They were sadly killing a lot of birds with something that's supposed to be a tribute to the dead, you know, one of the most horrific tragedies, you know, in our nation's history. And so luckily New York Audubon stepped in, and what they do is they turn off the lights every 20 minutes, and then the birds just thirst, you know, shut it down for 10 minutes, turn the lights back on for the tribute. Inevitably, it's migration. We're talking about September. The birds get trapped again, Audubon shuts it down again, and so on. It's not a perfect solution because sadly, when birds are within the light, they get disoriented and they can fly off in the wrong direction once the lights are turned off. And, you know, that can be problematic because it's migration. Birds need every bit of their fat store. They don't need to be making any detours, but at least it's something. Okay. Oh, it's stuck. Hang on. Okay. So glass. Bird collisions are one of the leading causes of bird mortality, killing up to 1 billion birds each year. Yeah, in the United States, it's a horrific number. And surprisingly, it's not, there's a misconception that high rises are killing the most birds, and that's not true. If you think about it, there are 123 million homes, residences in the United States. And if each one is killing up to 2 to 10 birds per year, and you do the math, that's a lot of birds. And so we break it down. High rises killing, around 500,000 each year. Low rises killing, near 250 million. And homes collectively, killing up to 250 million birds. Now, the reason for that is the danger zone for birds is from the ground up to about 40 to 60 feet. And if you think about it, that's like the average height of a tree. And so the reflection of the tree in glass is what's really dangerous. Like this. But glass is invisible, or birds perceive glass as reality. I think I would probably walk into that window. It becomes also problematic when birds think they have like a clear pathway through the glass. Like we have like a lot of problems, see-through lobbies in downtown Baltimore. Yeah, reflective glass, you can see kind of the tree line on that first image. But even like reflection of sky can be problematic, even though most collisions happen within the tree line. Yeah, any kind of structures like these, glass walkways, glass bus shelters, these glass sort of edged walkways. Yeah, it's terrible for birds. So just to go to cover our history a little bit, founded in 2008, part of the Baltimore Bird Club chapter of the Maryland Ornithological Society. We're all volunteer. We're one of an estimated 25 lights out type programs in the country. We encourage our local businesses, our city businesses, to take the lights out pledge, and I'll explain that a little more through, further down the PowerPoint. And we advocate for bird safe building design. This is like this image. We did a layout of some of the birds that we found in the course of the year. Yeah, I know FLAP does that in Canada, Fatal Light Awareness program that has a layout every year. And we did that in conjunction with one of my art exhibitions. So this image is downtown Baltimore. We monitor most days during migration in April, May, September, October. Sometimes it bleeds over into November, especially with the sparrows and the woodcocks. So just to give you an example, like tomorrow morning, I will meet my partner downtown at 5 a.m. and we will walk 5 miles around 20 to 25 buildings. We will collect the dead birds. We will have a label that where we notate species, time, date, location, and then that bird will go into a plastic Ziploc bag and into the knapsack. And at the end of the walk, it'll go into the freezer at home. At the end of the migration, when all the walks are completed, we'll have an inventory and we'll donate the birds to the Smithsonian Natural History Museum. But we have a really special project in the last few years. It's really exciting, actually. Of course, here in Baltimore, we have Johns Hopkins Hospital, and the School of Medicine decided to do this special research project. How is it that like something so tiny as a bird, let's say a black-toe warbler weighing less than an ounce, will travel over 12,000 miles in the course of a year? How does it do that? And it's because it has these remarkable antioxidant properties. And okay, hang on just one moment, please. Oh, okay, it's good. Yeah, and because of these properties, researchers think that it might benefit cancer research or anti-aging, research. It's exciting. The other thing that we do, I mean, not only do we collect the data on fatalities, but we rescue any injured birds that we find and transport them to a wildlife rehabilitator. Our partner is Phoenix Wildlife Center, just north of Baltimore. Yeah. Okay. So just to kind of go over some other things that we do. There's the art advocacy, that's kind of my department. I started photographing the birds that we collected, showing them pretty large scale, but also photographing the glass environments that killed them and showing them in conjunction. And then I even started doing these like big grids of the labels, like from each migration season, with all the fatality data. And that was really interesting because it generated a lot of press. And it was just one channel in which to communicate with people, especially outside of the birding community. We do educational workshops. We reach out to school groups, Girl Scout groups, Green Leader groups, Green Teens. And I even have a really special relationship with a studio here. It's Artists with Disabilities. We've been partnering with other third organizations in the state to push through legislation for to all state buildings to have bird-friendly guidelines. This is year 3. It's supposedly the charm. We're hoping it goes through this year. And then it's essential to like partner with other local organizations like the nature centers or Patterson Park Audubon that we have here, just in terms of events, educational and other educational outreach. Yeah, I think all of those elements are really important in getting the message out. Yeah, Lindsay threw this slide in. It's pretty cool though. At the Powder Mill Nature Reserve, they have this top image is a flight tunnel. And that's how we've been figuring out how to make a bird safe pattern. You release the bird at one end, and then it has 2 choices of like, and it will attempt to fly through the panel that it thinks it can fit through. Of course, there's netting in front of the glass so the birds don't get hurt. But that's how they've been, I think like Dr. Christine Shepard at the American Bird Conservancy had a flight tunnel at the Brooklyn Zoo, and that was also like essential research in figuring out bird safe patterns. We have relationships with Foreman's Ranch, Banding Station, Lights Out Cleveland. We have really close contact with them. They get a lot of birds, sitting there off the lake. And then, of course, Fatal Light Awareness Program. I mean, they started it all in 1993 in Toronto, this whole Lights Out type bird safe movement. Then we kind of jump. When you start your own Lights Out program, I mean, you're going to have your own like 3 top species that you find. These are ours. We find white-throated sparrow, gray catbird, American woodcock more frequently than any other species. And I know I think the answer to, we don't know why, other than maybe it's just how they flock and migrate, possibly, but I don't think we have the answer to that question. So yeah, here are our numbers in the last 10 years. We found over 3,300 dead, and we've rescued over 1,000. including our Baltimore Oriole and the very rare yellow rail. That was a rescue, which was pretty exciting. It was like the second state record since 1893. Yeah, we also rescue bats. We often find them grounded and cold and tired. And I think, like Patsy said, I think we're actually up to 70 now. And that's like, obviously we don't pick up bats. Like, yeah, we have this sort of technique of like using the net that we carry and kind of shunting them into a paper bag. Yeah, so we keep it safe. Okay, so not sure, let's see, how to engage your community. So I would, like, if you're starting a Lights Out program, you know, look for problem buildings, and, you know, it's definitely good to make that connection, that relationship with, you know, the local nature centers, and what, you know, the zoo, and then you can, you know, kind of move into like finding kind of what we call the worst offender buildings in the downtown area. You can assess the lighting around the building. Does it have that bright, is it like lit up with bright white light? You can kind of check the reflections morning, midday, and evening. Just, yeah, to see what is the danger time for birds. There you go. Yeah, so this is this is a cute picture of one of our families, Tammy and her kids. We check in the morning, although we do have one volunteer who does a second shift, like 4 days a week. And I guess I'll kind of explain, yeah, in detail, sort of the procedure. So you need paper bags and plastic bags and paper towels and a net. We use like butterfly nets and a pen and a clipboard and your labels. That's basically it. And your phone, of course, because there's an app that has a collision map tracker that's really essential to upload that data so that, you know, any scientist has access to that. iNaturalist app has a special like collisions project that you can upload all your photos and data to. But to kind of get back to that example, tomorrow morning, I will wake up very early, 4 o'clock, but I'll meet my partner at 5. We'll walk around 20 South Charles Street and probably find a white-throated sparrow that's deceased, and maybe a common yellowthroat that's alive. We'll put a bit of paper towel in the bottom of the paper bag. Use paper bag because obviously the bird can breathe, you know, there's breathability. The paper towel is just for it to grip so it doesn't slide around, but it can also balance better and give it a little back and neck support, which it will need, because if you think about a collision, it's head first. You know, like we do, we will, at the end of the walk, transport any injured birds to the wildlife rehabilitator. If you don't have that option, if you don't have that partnership, the best thing to do is to put that bag in a dark, quiet, warm place and wait 2 hours and then release. Okay. So now we can actually start talking about solutions. Yeah. So on the left is a problem window, a really big problem, and it's a terrible reflection. But then they applied one solution, which is feather-friendly dots. It looks like this is a 2 by 2 inch pattern. Hang on just 1 second. Sorry, my husband was watching TV. He's being too loud. So yeah, feather-friendly dots is a really inexpensive, but excellent solution to prevent third strikes. Okay. Now, I just mentioned the 2x2 pattern in the dots. What Dr. Shuthard and others have figured out is the 2x4 rule. You know, generally this works for most songbirds, maybe for everything except the hummingbird. A bird will not attempt to fly into a space that's 4 inches or less vertically oriented or 2 inches or less horizontally oriented. And, you know, there are all kinds of like temporary solutions. Like if you have a problem window during migration, this is like before we applied the window film at the Tuxent, we had the interns just paint tempera patterns like on the window. I thought it was really nice. That you can use chalk or soapy water. You can cover the glass with something overnight. And there are a lot of different products. Kaleidoscape is something I'm going to show you in a minute. That's what we used at the Tuxent. It's a perforated window film. So it looks opaque on the outside, and that if you're standing inside looking out, you can see through it. And what I did in these two images is actually cut out shapes just from the sheet of window film and made my own decals and made a tight pattern. You can kind of see the before and after, and then the outside look of the kaleidoscape and the interior look of the kaleidoscape. It comes in any color, and if you use a whole sheet of window film, you can print any pattern onto it, yeah, or photograph anything. Solux is nice. It's kind of it's more see-through. I don't have a picture of that right here. That it's easy to look up. And feather friendly is the dot pattern that we saw before. Now here we are at the big project. This is where I met Passy, and this is the Tuxent Research Refuge, the National Wildlife Visitor Center. And you can see how terribly reflective the glass is, and they've got these habitat gardens right out front. They were killing up to 12 birds a day. It was terrible, and not just during migration, like during the breeding season as well. And here's the window film once it was installed. I've got some more details. I've got details of it, but I think I designed all of this. What they wanted was like a design that reflected the National Wildlife Refuge system, and so each window sort of had a theme, and they wanted the great blue heron on the door, but this is looking from the inside, looking out. So it's pretty interesting. I mean, you still can see, obviously, from the outside, it's opaque, but from the inside, it's not. And that's that perforated window film, Kaleidoscape. This is also Kaleidoscape. This was done at somebody's house. They picked this color. You can pick any color. And again, you see the different effects, from the outside, from the inside looking out. Here we are with more feather-friendly dots. And that's trying on that right-hand image, trying to give you an idea. It's not as obvious as, as from the outside. American Bird Conservancy bird tape, 4 inches apart, just applied to the outside of the window. It always has to be the outside of the window to break up the reflection, whatever the treatment. Bird savers, it's great for like a residential problem window. It's just parachute cord, which has a really nice heft, and you hang it 4 inches apart. We did a huge like installation of it at one of our local community colleges. And again, you can see how highly reflective that glass is, but it's got the parachute cord hanging, and it's been great. Yeah. Lindsay used to work at the National Aquarium, and so she partnered with them, treating, I think, at least, if not the 40 up to 60 feet of the building with feather-friendly dots. Oh, there I am, even wearing the same shirt. That's funny. Like, here's doing some of our educational outreach. Sometimes it's fun to just make decals with kids and then apply them to the windows, even if it's not perfect. That's not like the 2x4 rule, but still, it teaches kids, you know, to be conscientious. So I guess I'm kind of getting toward the end of the PowerPoint. Just to recap, 1 billion birds annually, you know, in the United States. Oh, this is just, I think Lindsay tacked this on. It's actually, you can see where the bird hit the window and left an impression. And I think what she was trying to say with this image is that this window only had a single decal, and how it's completely ineffective unless you really have to follow the 2x4 rule. Oh, and this is just a recap of, there are bird-friendly glass, but it's really expensive. but it's, I don't know, it's being developed, it's coming along. In this image, the glass throw, birds can see ultraviolet, you know, we can't. So they have an ultraviolet film embedded within the glass, sort of sandwiched in between it. So on the left is what we would see looking out of that glass. On the right is what a bird would see, and it's at like 4-inch interval stripes. And just to kind of recap what's, well, no, actually talk about what's safe for birds in terms of bird feeders. Actually, the closer to the window is safer. Birds unerringly get to that feeder. They get to the food. It's when they fly away that it becomes dangerous. So if it's 3 feet or closer, they'll just brush off the window. Oh, and let's talk about lighting. Yeah, so we know that all of this artificial light is pulling birds into dangerous human-built environments full of glass. So we need to turn off non-essential lighting during migration at night. If we could like downshield our street lighting, that would be amazing. You can kind of see this graphic here in the upper right corner. You know, covered bulbs, you don't need the lawn lighting on, possibly use timers or motion sensors. Here's an interesting fact, like there's a building that we partner with downtown, and we got them to stop using bright white light because colored light is safer for birds, especially blues and greens. But the other thing that's also helpful to birds is if the light blinks on and off, it gives them a moment of pause so to break that attraction, or to have the lights fade in and out. And so this one building, the Transamerica building, has these beautiful colored lights, columns that fade in and out of different colors. And yeah, it's been really nice having these relationships with some of the businesses downtown. Typically when we get to the end of a migration season, we'll write a letter to each building owner or manager, giving them the totals of the birds that we found. And that's resulted in these relationships. So sometimes they'll turn off key lights at night during migration, or like the Transamerica building I was talking about, actually changing the color of their lights, or these, you know, building these partnerships like with the National Aquarium so that we get these window treatments. Yeah, it's pretty great. So what can you personally do? You can assess the building you work at, assess your home, support sustainable legislation, spread awareness. And I guess this is, I think, finally the recap image. Yeah, our poor little common yellow throat. But the thing that's amazing about our numbers is that, like, if we can get those thirds to the wildlife rehabilitator, 95% of those thirds will be released. And hang on, before I say thank you, one thing I'll just go over really quickly is when I was talking about like head injury, if we get those injured birds to the wildlife rehabilitator, they'll be treated with naloxone and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory and kept overnight, or maybe 2 at the most, and then released. And like I said, 95% of our injured birds make it at least to being released, and hopefully after that. So yeah, and our cute little bats. And I think that's about it.
Okay, well, thank you. The passion you have for these birds and bats and what you're doing is palpable. We can tell how much you care and how much you work for it. We appreciate that so much. I was surprised to hear that the woodcock was one of the top 3, because maybe it's because they have their eyes on top of their head and they can't see where they're going. Who knows?
Yeah, they can't see right in front of them.
Yeah.
They see over here. Right. And they've got such a long beak that,
Right.
and they fly so fast, they hit really hard.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like you, if you don't mind, to answer some questions.
Sure.
There's a question here we have for, do we have a rehabilitation place here in San Antonio? And the answer is an emphatic yes. Wildlife rescue and rehabilitation, we already have a relationship with them. And when we start our program, they will take all of our injured birds and care for them. And they have a place we can take them to right down in the middle of San Antonio. So that's good. And let's see here. Okay, let's see. And there's thank you, Angel. She has put a lot of the links in the chat. And when we share the recording, we will share the chat with people too. So they can go to these places. They'll have what was on your PowerPoint and then what we have in the chat. Okay. And one person had to leave and they were so disappointed. They said this was a superbly interesting talk. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. Oh, here's a good question from someone that says, can one still view and photograph birds through the kaleidoscope film? So if you put that on your house, can you take pictures through the, you know, we can't see it. Can you take pictures of birds through it?
I imagine it's probably like a screen effect, like trying to shoot through a screen.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you comment along those lines? It's not every window of every building, right, that needs help. Would you comment on that? When you find birds, do you usually find them on a particular side of a building downtown?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, and I'm not sure I have the full answer, but somehow it's like how a building is situated within in a landscape. Like, you know, especially with a little elevation, if the birds are flying in and up and into, like in Baltimore, it's pretty obvious that like the birds fly up the Chesapeake Bay, into, you know, Patuxent River, into the inner harbor and snack into the buildings. So all the buildings facing the water, those sides are gonna, yeah, those are like generally the most dangerous
Mhm.
That's the thing.
Somebody was telling me that that's really good when you're talking to building owners, because you come in and they say, oh my God, they want me to replace all my glass or redo all that. But you say, no, it's just the east side of your building up to
Right.
60 feet or something. Oh,
Right.
well, that's like something I can do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
I know. It's
opposite.
that point about just like the ground up to 30 or 40 or 60 feet, depending on, and it's really about assessing the building. Where is your reflections? Where are they? How high up are they hitting? That's what you have to hit to treat. Just, yeah.
Because it's really about the reflecting of the environment around it. If you're
Right.
just reflecting another building, it's probably not.
Yeah, if they
I
see
mean, that's-
trees and things like that.
Shrubs, greenery. So food source, shelter is what it is to them.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to roll up to the top and see if we have some questions here. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, somebody said they just received this minute an email from Birdwatchers Digest concerning bird strikes. So if you are this is in the news, this is during September and October, during the migration, and also during spring migration, all the birding magazines are going to be talking about this. They're trying to raise awareness. Birdwatchers Digest, Bird Watching Magazine, ABA, ABC, all the birding places. So you can get a lot of good information on all those websites for the, especially ABC. They have a really
Yeah, American Bird Conservancy has a whole page dedicated to collisions.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Here's a good question. Curious, how many dead birds do you typically find downtown on an average day during migration?
Yeah, it really depends on the weather. Like, I can walk one day and maybe find 3 or 6. On a really bad day, 30, 40, 50. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness. So it just depends on the migration that's coming through and so forth. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, it says you may touch on this topic before the end of the program, but have you or anyone else contacted architectural schools and organizations to increase awareness of the issues that architecture can create for birds? Bird kills.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, what we've done here is contacted some of the leading architecture firms. Hasn't gotten a lot of response. Although we have had like some really interesting, I guess, interactions with, say there's going to be some giant development and like we can go to the management board and have a meeting, and some of them have been receptive. And there's supposed to be this huge like Kevin Plank of Under Armour new city within the city being built, and they were actually receptive to meeting with us. Yeah.
Well, Dr. Shepard, Christine Shepard, who is with ABC, I went to one of her webinars, and she said, if you hear tell of any big developments like that,
Right.
get in on the design phase, because once they have it all designed and approved, they're not as likely to incorporate bird-friendly aspects.
It's far less expensive to do it from the outset than to try to retrofit.
Right.
Yeah.
And something that we're working on in Bear Audubon and as part of Bird City, Texas, is to contact, we have an architect on the Mitchell Lake Audubon Center board, and he's a very nature-centered guy, and he's a member of an architectural, like a association. And we're going to get information from organizations like yours and Lights Out and Dark Sky and all these, and get those at the when they have their meetings, have those things available, and he will be an advocate for us. So
Great.
that's also a place you can do it, because if the architect says you need this, then people are more likely to listen. And I just wanted to point out that the Bear Audubon Society already has a project on iNaturalist.
Great.
And it's called Bird Window Strikes in 9 Central Texas Counties. Those are our 9 counties that are in our Audubon region. and we've already got it posted and all that. You can, Angel, thank you for putting the link up there. You can go and look at it. And as soon as we can start our monitoring program, we're going to get organized this spring for it. And as soon as we can get out and about with it, then we'll have all the little pieces in place that we'll have to do. But can we call you if we have questions?
Of course. I have a really good friend who lives in Poteet. Is that how you say it? Yeah. So I come down to visit once in a while. I'll have to pay a visit.
You bet. You'll be welcome here, and we'll take you out to Mitchell Lake, and you can see our beautiful South Texas birds and so forth. So we'd love to have you. That's a standing invitation.
Yay. Thank you.
Okay. It says, this was eye-opening. I have doves that hit my windows all the time. I have pattern filament on the windows. I'll try one of the resources you posted, because that thud is the most unhappy sound in the world. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Lindsay was going to come tonight, Lindsay Jacks, and she had an emergency she had to deal with. A bird emergency. And Lynne was so gracious at the last minute to step in and come and do the talk. And you can tell how much she is devoted to this project. So we'll keep up with you and your artwork and your art resources. And we'll give you a holler.
Okay.
Thank you so
my
much.
pleasure. Yeah, I'm so glad we met.
Thanks everybody for being here. If you have other questions, please contact us through Bear Audubon Society website, and we'll do the best we can. If we can't answer it or find the answer, we'll give them a jingle up there in Baltimore and see if they can help us. Thanks so much. Good night. Get to bed. You got an early morning. Thank you.